Hi, boys and girls. This is Miss Mac here. Just wanted to give you a quick view of our Science Week at a Glance for this upcoming week, April 27th through May 1st, and then we're going to dive right in to our lesson. Okay, so Monday, tomorrow, watch Miss Mac's YouTube video for this week in full, please. I need you to watch the entire thing. It's chapter 1, lesson 2, titled Food Chains. You're then going to rewind, pause, and read page 13 on your own, called More Food Chains. Then you're going to summarize the main idea of page 13 by explaining the order of a pond food chain, beginning with algae. And then as we read through the text shortly, I'd like for you to jot down your answers to the quick checks. And on Wednesday, I will be asking for you to share your summaries as well as your responses to the quick checks. Tuesday, you will complete summary of pond food chain beginning with algae if you have not finished it on Monday. Then you also are to go to Raz Kids, teacher assigned informational text, record your reading or practice reading fluently out loud to a sibling or parent. Wednesday, join Zoom session at 11 o'clock. Bring with you to share out your summary of your pond food chain and your answers to your quick checks. Thursday, your assignment for Thursday for science is your Raz Kids teacher assigned informational text. On this day, I'd like for you to retell your passage. This can be recorded on Raz Kids too, and it's great because once you record it, I can listen to it and then I can give you some feedback on your retelling. Friday, Raz Kids teacher assigned informational text. Part 3 is a 5-question quiz on the passage that I assigned you. Or you may study, practice, Your Living Things Need Energy. The link is on Dojo. All right, so that is our Science Week at a Glance for this upcoming week. This is posted on Dojo as well. Now we're going to jump right in. All right, so this week we are going to be talking about summarizing. Miss Mosel this week is teaching you summarizing of fiction text using the somebody wanted but so then. I am going to discuss summarizing informational nonfiction with you. So we've done this before. It's going to seem like a lifetime ago, but we've done it, and I'm sure you'll remember once I start getting into it a little bit more. So what is summarizing informational nonfiction? Well, it's providing a short, concise explanation of the passages or the text major ideas. Remember, summarizing allows us to think about what we read and decide, does it make sense? When we summarize informational nonfiction, we choose only the most important information that helps us remember what we've read. One way we do that is to look for the wow words or the meaningful words. These wow words will lead us to our essential information that we will use to summarize. All right, so we're going to try it. I am going to read to you chapter 1, lesson 2, food chains. I would like for you to listen as I read aloud. Listen for those wow or those meaningful words repeated. That's another key. Those words are repeated throughout the text. They're meaningful, they're meaty words. And as I read, I'm going to stop and jot some of the wow words. All right, so here we are. Lesson 2, food chains. What is a food chain? Living things get energy from food. A food chain is the path energy takes in the form of food going from one living thing to another. I'm going to jot down food chains. Okay. Here's the path of a food chain. The chain starts with energy from the sun. A plant uses the energy to make its own food. The plant in a food chain is a producer because it makes or produces its own food. Produces, makes. Okay. Next, an animal such as an insect eats the plant. Energy from the plant passes to the insect. Then another animal, such as a bird, eats that insect. So energy passes from the insect to the bird. Okay. So I'm noticing we have some highlighted words. So I'm most definitely going to include food chain, producer. There was a couple other wow words I was hearing. So energy, producer, passes. I heard eats a lot. Eats doesn't sound like it would be a meaty, meaningful word, but in this context, it is meaningful. Like we're going to find out more. We'll go back and look at an example of a mountain food chain. The insect and the bird are consumers. An animal is a consumer because it must eat or consume plants or other animals for food. Another consumer, such as a wolf, may eat the bird. The chain continues until consumers die. Okay, so make sure I write down consumer. At the end of the chain are decomposers. Decomposers are tiny living things that break down dead plants and animals. That is, they make dead plants and animals rot. Then they return materials from the dead plants and animals to the soil. Worms and many insects are examples of decomposers. Okay, so decomposers is highlighted, so I'm most definitely going to jot that down. Okay, I think I got a general gist of this passage here, this text. We're not gonna do this now. Remember, quick checks. You can pause the video at any point and complete them. Just write down on a piece of paper. Number 13, what's the missing answer here? 14, what's the missing answer? We will go over this on Wednesday. Okay, back to summarizing. All right, let me just make sure I've read all of that section. Yes, I did. Okay, because there's a new subtitle there. All right, so let me put my marker away. Let's go back to this. All right, so I read, and now I'm going to look at my wow words. So here are the wow words that I wrote down as I was reading. I jotted these words down. Here they are for you on the screen. So you can go back, pause, and look at the wow words that Miss Mac came up with. And now we're going to look at what does my summary look like? But before I show you that, I want to ask you, am I going to be able to summarize what I just read after only having read it once? No. Great, because you all know that good readers have to read everything at least 2 times. So we're going to go back. We're going to pretend Miss Mac read it a second time. I did. I've read it multiple times. And here is my summary. My summary begins. A food chain starts with energy from the sun. First, a plant is a producer which uses the energy to make its own food. Next, an animal eats the plant. Energy from the plant passes to the animal. Then another animal eats the animal that ate the plant. These animals are consumers. Finally, when the consumers die, decomposers break down their bodies. Decomposers are living things at the end of a food chain. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading up until page 13. So I'm going to read all the way through to the end of page 12 to see what additional information I can learn from this text. I will be looking for and listening for those wow words. Now remember, once we get to the end of this, or once we get to the end of page 12, you're going to read page 13 on your own and summarize that information, doing exactly what we just did together. Okay, so I said we'd look at this mountain food chain. So here it is. Food chains start with energy. Energy from the sun makes life possible on Earth. A mustard plant, oh, that's the producer, takes in energy from the sun to make its own food. Okay. A gopher eats the mustard plant. He eats it, so he must be a consumer. A weasel eats the gopher. He's a consumer because he's eating the gopher. Oh, and then I'm following these arrows here. And after the gopher, a mountain lion eats the weasel. He's also a consumer. And then when the mountain lion dies, see, boop, decomposers break down its body. Okay, so that was an example of a mountain food chain. All right, so we're going to continue reading the text. What are herbivores? Well, in a food chain, the first consumer is an animal that eats a plant. For example, a gopher is a plant eater. A gopher is a herbivore. A herbivore is an animal that eats mostly plants. Deer, rabbits, grasshoppers, squirrels, and cows are herbivores. Herbivores are food for other animals. The word for an animal that is hunted by another animal for food is prey. All the animals here are prey for some larger or stronger animal. So we got some antelopes, and they're prey to like lions. The African elephant is Earth's largest land animal. It is an herbivore that eats mostly grasses. It eats a lot, 440 pounds of grass a day. Wow. Okay, don't forget your quick check. Number 15. How do herbivores get energy? Remember, go back into this section to find your answer. What are carnivores and omnivores? Lions and hawks eat other animals. They are carnivores. A carnivore is an animal that eats other animals. Some animals eat plants and animals. For example, a bear eats berries, leaves, mice, and squirrels. A bear is an omnivore. An omnivore is an animal that eats plants and animals. Raccoons and wasps are omnivores. People are omnivores. Some animals hunt the animals they eat. Animals that hunt other animals for food are the predators. Just a little picture. A bear is an omnivore. A heron is a carnivore. Okay, here's quick check numbers 16, 17, and 18. Tell me, which kind of food does each of these eat? What are decomposers? Well, we know that they're at the end of the food chain because we summarized that and we found that meaty, wow, meaningful information in the beginning. So what are decomposers? Decomposers are living things at the end of a food chain. They break down plants and animals that have died. The once living material becomes part of the soil. This material helps other plants to grow. Then food chains can start all over. There are many kinds of decomposers. Earthworms are decomposers. Insects, such as flies and beetles, are decomposers. So here's our beetle. This beetle feeds off of things that were once alive. Ooh, the beetle breaks down once living things. That grosses me out. But it's part of the cycle and we need it. Oh. These earthworms are eating dead plants. They pass materials from the dead plants to the soil. Again, a necessary component of a food chain. So that is the end of what Miss Mac is going to read to you today. Number 19, quick check. What job do decomposers have in a food chain? Go back into the text and find that information. You will be reading just this here, page 13, more food chains. Okay, I'm just going to show it to you. Okay. I don't think that's in there, but all right, so here is all of page 13. Here's the rest of the diagram. So remember, our illustrations, our diagrams, they're there to provide us with meaningful information. So I want you to read page 13, but I also want you to look at the diagram, follow the arrows, and we always start at our source of energy, which is the sun. So start at the sun, try and follow the arrows, see if the diagram aligns with the text. And that will help you to summarize page 13. Okay, so like I said, it is your turn. First, pause the video on page 13, read the section titled More Food Chains. Second, stop and jot wow or meaningful words. Finally, summarize the informational nonfiction text of an algae food chain. Remember, I will be looking for this on Wednesday, as well as your responses to the quick checks. So to do those, have a piece of loose leaf handy, a journal, number it. I don't believe it starts with number 1 because number 1 was part of the first lesson. So start with whatever number is there. In fact, we'll do that together really fast so that we're not confused. I'll put this back up momentarily. That's just for fun. All right, let's see. Let's see what number quick check is. Page 8. Here we go. So the first quick check that you will have to respond to is actually on page 9. So it is number 13 and 14. Sounds a little strange. Page 9, number 13 and 14, complete the order of living things in a food chain. That's 13 and 14. 15, how do herbivores get energy? 16, 17, and 18. Tell me what an herbivore, a carnivore, and an omnivore eat mostly. And 19. What job do decomposers have in a food chain? What job do they have? And the last part, number 20, 21, and 22, fill in the blanks to show the path of energy in the pond food chain. All right. Boys and girls, it has been great, different, but great. I can't wait to see your faces on Wednesday. Here on the screen, let me make it big so everyone can see it. This is, like I said, just an extension activity, just for fun. It's called a pond food chain activity. The materials you'll need: some paper, some markers, crayons, scissors, old magazines, glue or tape. Please do not cut up magazines without your parents' permission if they're not yours. Your steps, your procedure. Find and cut out of, if you have magazines, flip through them. See if you can find any pictures of a sun, a hawk, a frog, grasshopper, and grass. Or if you can't find them in a magazine, or you can't find all of them, draw them, label it, get creative. Then after that, I want you to arrange them, arrange the sun and the other organisms into a food chain in the correct order. So what do we start with? The sun. So that's going to be our starting point. Then make sure you label it with arrows so that I can follow it. So where does the sun go first? To the consumer, the producer, the decomposer. Where does it go first? Okay. So glue down those images of the food chain and draw your arrows to show the movement of the energy passing from one organism to another. All right, boys and girls, I will see you Wednesday. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you then. Miss Mac.